Hello again, YouTube. Jake here with more Reading Too Much Into Things reviews of Dobotsu Sentai Jyuohgers and Kamen Rider Ghost. Last time in Jyuohgers, along with learning about a past uneasy relation between Zayla the shark and Leo, who I now dub Sanji the lion, we got a tease of another gorilla Jyuman somewhere in the human world. So let's jump right in with episode 5 of Jyuohgers, Jungle no Oja, or Monarch of the Jungle. Also, that's why Elephant was Deep Forest. Our show opens with the team once again looking for aliens and the invasion led by what the hell is that thing? Maybe I shouldn't have tossed this away last week. So yeah, the team launches their mechs and engage the invasion. Sadly, despite bazooka-ing the ships to destruction, the horrible purple flappy mouth player escapes, and so they chase after him into the forest. And despite his legs poking out of the ground very visibly, the gang ends up chasing the gorilla, named Larry. Back in space, Cubehead is rather pissed that his player, Gaburio, is an idiot, and heads off to Earth for himself. Back on Earth, at Larry's place, we learn that the Mark of Kings does not just automatically work for any Jyuman, but specific users. We get Larry's background as he came to the human world to do field research on humans. Larry, the scientist gorilla. Anthropologist even. And just as they prepare some tea for the group, Yamato finally states he's a human. Larry doesn't take this well. Turns out, when he got trapped in the human world, Larry tried to interact with humans. The humans reacted how most sensible people would react to a large gorilla appearing behind them and shouting Spanish. This led to an encounter with the policeman who actually opened fire on him, shooting him in the arm. Yeah, that's the right reaction to Mario. Amazingly, Tusk is the most understanding of the humans' reaction to Larry, having been a bit of a racist himself towards Yamato. And so they tried to sneak Yamato into Larry's daily activities to show he's not dangerous, resulting in Larry running away screaming every time. What did they think would happen? To be fair though, these scenes are funny in their own right. However, after an outburst throws Yamato against a tree, Larry spots Yamato calmly talking to a deer who isn't spooked by him, making Larry feel ashamed enough to step forward. Using the underappreciated skill of speaking softly and empathy, the two share a connection. And then Cubehead shows up. The four others show up ready to battle, but since this is the 5th episode and against an enemy commander, the team did not have much of a chance against him. Yamato arrives, Larry off at a safe distance, and the team engages him again. However, the team barely does much better. Watching, however, Larry theorized that the Mark of King is able to transfer Jyuman powers to humans, hence Yamato becoming an eagle. The 4 Jyuman are knocked out of their suits by a barrage of harsh attacks. Yamato isn't free himself from a punishing beating, also getting knocked out of his suit and knocked off a cliff. Larry, fearing for Yamato's life, puts the Mark of Kings in Yamato's hand, holding it himself, and, using it as a conduit, passes his strength through it to Yamato, who wakes up. And to break up the warm fuzzy feelings, Cubehead attacks the two again. However, this time, Yamato is able to stop his blade mid-swing, and so, slipping his mask up, Yamato transforms a second time into a gorilla Jyuman form. And despite Cubehead being an enemy commander, Yamato starts pounding him like there's no tomorrow. Also, whirlwind breath. Because gorillas. After an arm-shattering straight and a jaw-breaking uppercut, the enemy commander blows up into several tiny cubes. However, the space boss stops the woman from growing him giant. Our episode ends with the team giving Yamato a pat on the back, but Larry seeming to have disappeared completely. And that was episode 5 of Jyuohgers, and I do have some questions I feel the show wants me to ask it. Does this mean the rest of the team are going to get secondary forms other than the Jyuman and race they come from? I still don't get why the rest of the team don't have specialized weapons. How do the Death Galians come to Earth other than in spaceships? What explanation are they going to give about how the cube-headed enemy commander isn't actually fully dead? Because notice, he blew up in a fairly different way than the others had. And, most baffling of all for me, why was Larry speaking Spanish? Like, yeah, I get that he was trapped in the human world, but number one, he was trapped in Japan. If he couldn't go into town, I doubt he could change countries all that easily. 2, he was shown speaking Spanish before he knew he was trapped in the human world. 3, they're from another unconnected, supposedly from the human world. Is there just a really big Spanish-speaking community in Jyuland that we don't know about? Oh well, I'm sure we'll get part of explanations to those questions in the next few episodes. Let's move on to Kamen Rider Ghost. Last time, Spectre had teleported into the Ganma world to reclaim his body before any harm could come to it, and Takeru, after figuring out how to, had followed after him. And we are not given how many days left Takeru has to come back to life in the recap. So let's jump into episode 22 of Kamen Rider Ghost with Boyaku, Adele no Wana, or Conspiracy, Adele's Trap. Our episode opens with Dyejob looking at Spectre's body, and we fade over to Kanon before I can ask, but who was in the other body holder? Was that Kanon before the wish? Back at the business Eyegor controls, everything is still going smoothly. Why? Why would you come back? He brainwashed you last time, and you didn't like it. We cut to Takeru in the Ganma world, as he gets ambushed by Gruntmas. His fighting, grabbing the attention of a sky worm, sounds the Ganma world's alarms. Takeru gets attacked by higher-ranking Ganma grunts, like JAVERT level. Back in the human world, Akari, QB, and Kanon chat about the Ganma world, how everyone's an icon, and that no one fights with each other because of Papa Ganma, who prays in his sacred place no one can enter. We cut to Two Feathers entering said sacred place, who then attacks Papa Ganma. And seems to kill him, his icon coming out and shattering. Good thing we learned so much about that character. The 15 float stones glow at this, as does the important rock back at the temple. Sage, now as Sage, takes note. Unless Edith in the Ganma world isn't Sage. Back in the Ganma world, Dyejob super speeds in to beat up Takeru, because he likes beating up Takeru. We cut to Two Feathers claiming that Dyejob killed Papa Ganma to Arya. Enough of that scene, back to the temple. Akari has been doing research on the company Eyegor controls, thinking there's something fishy. Onari is not trusting despite knowing that the Ganma can literally possess people and he was nearly possessed himself. Thankfully, QB points out that it was Eyegor's orders to paint that building, which is enough to confirm there's something wrong. Back in the Ganma world, Arya, confused about the news, gets a pleasant surprise when Spectre shows up. Back in the fight, Takeru is not doing well. Dyejob smart enough after an explosion knocks him off a cliff to not just assume Takeru is dead, but is called back by Tooth Feathers before investigating. Back with Spectre, he says there are 3 reasons he's here. First, to get his body back. Second, to thank Arya for taking care of him and Kanon when they first came here. He asks her to come to the human world, but she can't, and tells him that Dyejob is likely being framed for Papa's death. As Spectre leaves, Arya asks about the 3rd reason, saying Spectre plans to meet with Two Feathers. Speaking of Two Feathers, he and Dyejob meet somewhere, and Two Feather attacks the same way he killed Papa Ganma, killing him as well, leaving Edith, who may or may not be Sage, to pick up the eyecons he had. Back at dragging QB to the building, the group is attacked by the Jyuoh Ganma. Back in the Ganma world, seems everyone who's a Ganma icon has pods, and Dyejob wakes back up. So, is Papa Ganma not dead either? We cut to Two Feathers giving a speech, but does he not know about the pods? Have they spent so much time as icons they don't recall being in the pods? Because if Papa has a pod, it shows up saying, "That guy killed me. Plan's over, bucko." Back in the human world, we see Akari and Onari trying to keep Jyuoh at bay, buying Takeru time to return. QB, though, isn't helping. Akari then remembers that he can warp reality with his specific paintboard. Okay, so it's the paintboard, not the helmet. Did not know that. And tells him to paint. Of course, he paints Onari's head. Back with Takeru, he finds a whole room full of pods. Really? So what is stopping Papa Ganma from popping back up, saying Two Feathers killed me, and ruining Two Feathers' plan? Seriously, a whole damn room! They have to know about this! As I rant, one of the pods turns red, and the body dissolves. As Takeru tries anything to save him, he gets flashes of the person's life and memories. Takeru checks more pods and sees more dead dust. Back in the real world, yeah, things are not going well. Back in the Ganma world, Spectre meets with Two Feathers. As you might expect, Two Feathers transforms using a shiny new RTMIT icon, transforming into a form that looks like Rey from the Kiva movies, but that's neither here nor there. In the real world, Jyuoh has not killed QB, feeling he's not a threat so there's no reason to, but still wanting a duel with Takeru. Back with Spectre getting his ass whooped by cheating powers that seem to dwarf Necrons. However, Takeru saves him before he's hit by the I Win purple beam. However, having Takeru with him isn't helping too much. Spectre throws out his black hole pyramid finisher and they escape before Two Feathers breaks out, likely using his time reversing powers. When at a fork, Takeru hears a voice guide him. Meanwhile, Dyejob is still on the run, seeming to be the only one who knows plot points. Back with Takeru, he comes across Edith's room and the icons, having been led there by Musashi. He also notices the strange device I mentioned last week that he says is a giant icon. He picks it up only for Dyejob to appear. While Spectre is worried that he's in his body, Takeru is actually really mad. Not surprising, he kept hearing about how perfect this world was, and yet comes here and it's all messed up. However, Spectre informs them they're surrounded and have no time for arguments. They head outside and indeed there's a crowd. Spectre tries to fight them off, but Dyejob instead creates a Ganma portal and Spectre, grabbing Takeru, escapes, landing them back in the real world where Jyuoh had been, very politely, waiting. Dyejob falling out soon after. Having waited so long for battle, Takeru obliges. Despite how beat up he was in the Ganma world, Takeru is able to fight Jyuoh and, to his regret, defeat her. Our episode ends with Dyejob, now in a body, walking off, and back in the Ganma world, JAVERT awaking from a pod and given an Ultima icon, and Spectre not having gotten his body back. So, yeah, that was episode 22 of Ghost. See you here again next week for more reading too much into things. And, as always, stay safe.
今日だなコウモリだなコンドルだな行きます